All right, everybody. Hi, how are y'all? Thank you for watching tonight. We are live on a Sunday evening, and I think it's like 95 degrees here in Bakersfield today. As you can see, we got the whole gang with us tonight. Um, we are going to talk just a little bit about the house settlement. It's actually kind of more complicated. That the more I read, the more I didn't understand. So I just picked out some highlights that I would like to discuss, and then just kind of we talk about our opinions on it, where we think it'll lead to, and I'll just lead it to the experts who start all their podcasts tomorrow. We'll have all the big boys doing stories on it, but you get the highlights first from us tonight before the big boys turn loose on their shows tomorrow.
You are one of the big boys.
There you go. There you go. Oh yeah. Hey, we don't want to forget to ask people to hit that subscribe button, please, while you're doing it right now. If you haven't already, do it. If you haven't already, hit that like button. It's right there in front of you. I can see it right there. Don't miss it. And then go ahead and comment throughout the show. This is a viewer interacted show, so we do like your comments live during the show. But you can definitely, if you missed the live show, you can definitely leave your comments later, and we'll come back and hit up some answers for you later on them. All right, so let's talk about the house settlement a little bit, okay? Guys, I did not realize that my stupid computer. Anyhow, I did not realize that this actually started 5 years ago with a guy named Grant House, who was a swimmer at Arizona State, and he sued the NCAA over his name, image, and likeness. So I didn't realize that this is when this all got started. And and of course as we already know, the NIL already was approved long before the house settlement was. So I think Grant House actually got us started on a path of no return for college athletics. Because guys, I'm older than you are, but you guys are still in your 40s and stuff, and so you guys have seen the changes in college football, college basketball, college sports overall. You're seeing us become more like a pro, like the NFL for football. Now, now we're going to end up probably having signed contracts and stuff. The teams are going to be, the players are going to be considered employees of the university now, and so things like that. So I think the biggest thing to come out of this, because from what I gather, most of this stuff had not a surprise to anybody, but I think the biggest thing is the roster limits. For better lack of words, I'm just going to say are grandfathered in to work down to the 105. They're going to call the guys that, like, let's say the ones that Iowa got rid of, okay? They got rid of their players in anticipation of getting down to 105, okay? They can now bring some of those players back. They're called designated student athletes. All right, they can bring them back without affecting their roster limit. So, I could see something like Iowa deciding to stay with what they got. They had 106 as of Thursday, according to Tyler Barnes in his interview. Okay, I could see Iowa staying there and Nebraska, loading up and grabbing everybody they can and going 140 or something like that. Because Nebraska's desperate at this point. Okay. I know. I got my little dig in for Nebraska because we always love that.
That's right.
Well, going back, if I can jump in here.
Yeah, go ahead.
Going back to what you just said, though, it was way before even House. There's a particular Nebraska quarterback that actually started it, which is why we lost college football. He sued, and he was under the Callahan crew. He sued the NCAA for name, image, and likeness. And that's why we could no longer have college football, right? So they had to stop, and they did it. They stopped it for 12 years. So for over a decade, there was a bunch of them. There's actually a basketball player who did the same thing. It was from UCLA, Eddie Bannon or something.
Eddie Bannon, yeah. 11 years ago.
Yeah.
11 years ago.
So then all of a sudden, all those players is why we lost college basketball, which I think they stopped college basketball because nobody was playing it. But college football was still a big deal, and they had to stop that in 2013 because of, stupid name, image, and likeness. And
I think one of the craziest things about that, when they stopped making that game in 2013, is those who I think had the PlayStation version were able to upgrade their lineups every year for the current lineups. Am I not
yeah,
mistaken on that?
yeah, no, you're right. And if you had the PC version, you could download 32 college teams. There was a lot of people I know who did that.
Mm-hmm.
You could use Madden and
Mm-hmm.
then import college teams, but you could only do 32 because that's how many NFL teams there were. So they would swap out.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there was a lot of things because people wanted the Madden graphics for college football.
Mm-hmm.
You could just only have 32 teams. But yeah, they were always updating their rosters every year. You could just download them. Even when they weren't making the new one, they would update the rosters for everybody to download. So import rosters, yeah.
Yeah. See,
You
now
know,
I only have an Xbox One, so I'm not even going to get to have fun with this new version, the 25 version that you guys all played this last year, and now the 26 coming out. Anyway, go ahead, Paul. I did not mean to step on your toes.
I was going to say, you know who I think might end up being the ultimate winner out of this? The Bulls. Because, I mean, if these guys are signing contracts with the schools to get paid and stuff, you know, maybe the schools can say, yeah, if you accept money from us, we're not sitting out bowl games. We're not sitting out the last couple games of the year unless you plan to go pro. But outside of that, you know, if you're a sophomore and you're not eligible for the draft, you'll be playing.
Yeah.
If you're
okay.
not
And one of the other things that's new is I think it started Friday or maybe even yesterday. Any NIL plans that go over $600 have to be approved by this new clearinghouse that they developed. What was it called? NIL Go Clearinghouse, and they have no more. It's no more fair market value. It's wait a minute. I'm sorry. No more fair market value, but I forgot to write down what it was actually. So I messed up myself. Okay.
So they're putting some kind of limit or cap on it.
Yeah, it's like a value that they look and they see. The comparison is to the NFL to see where different people are graded salary wise versus, you know, I think, and then try to grade their people similarly. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. And here we go. Hi, Vandy. The clearinghouse will determine if it's a fair market value deal or not. Correct. And I believe that they said that I believe they have said that 90% of the NIL deals that were looked at would not have been approved under this new plan. Am I correct in this, guys?
I couldn't answer that question for a fact.
I know Vandy knows. Vandy doesn't miss anything. But he's been too busy watching racing and basketball today. And weather.
Baseball.
Yeah.
I could just like Hank, if you're still in here, if you like the game, I am gonna start doing a series to try to win the national championship on the game on my YouTube channel with Marco. I'm gonna start Marco as a freshman on it because that's what he was in the game, and then it's called Coach Hack Gaming and Sports Talk is my YouTube channel. So follow me on that if you want to watch me try to win a natty with Iowa before the new one comes out.
Okay. Alrighty. So I think we got some of the highlights there. I just wanted to hit the highlights because I'm not a lawyer and I don't know everything that's said. I did try to read some of the report that was printed on X over the weekend, and yeah, I don't do well with legalese. That should be, I think they do that on purpose to get everybody, everyday Joe Blow, confused on what's actually being said. Okay.
2025, Hank, before 2026 comes out.
Good. All right. Okay. Alrighty. Okay, and the clearinghouse would have determined that as compared to other softball players, it would not be fair market value. How do we talk about softball players?
That's all.
Are we talking about that Texas Tech girl that got signed for $1 million?
No.
Right before the settlement got approved?
He's talking about all the sports.
Okay, but he said softball.
Well, right, but that's what softball is still a part of the whole ordeal.
Oh, okay. All right. I see what you're saying.
This isn't just for football. This isn't just for like one sport for the school.
Mm-hmm. Oh, here we go. I missed the comment before. Okay, here we go. For example, if the Kennedy deal, which is the girl that got the $1 million for Texas Tech, had been done the day after it was done, it would have gone through the clearinghouse. Correct. That's why they were talking about it on TV during the game. They said that was pretty much the reason why they hurried up and got that deal done. Okay. Vandy, do you have any other information we'd like to talk about on there? Yeah. Yeah, that's it. Thank you, Kelvin. I can always count on Kelvin to help me out. Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, that's what they wanted to get undone. Yeah, here comes Vandy. He's going to talk a little bit more about it. Hello, Vandy.
What's up, my
How do
gentleman?
they determine what is reasonable?
Yeah.
Look at all that stuff behind Vandy. Look at that.
Yeah. Chinook seeds, the best sunflower seeds in the game. Bar none, the best.
His show's sponsored by them, guys. I found them in a store here in Bakersfield.
They're the best on the market. They're better than David's. They're better than Star. Any of them. They're the best.
Okay. Okay, you guys, I'm sure you recognize Vandy. When we get to the draft of the basketball, we'll throw him back out. But he's pretty knowledgeable guy, and so he can kind of help us navigate what's going through with this.
Yeah, I happened to see you were talking about the NIL stuff, and I thought, well, I've been looking into this house deal and all that, and thought I'd jump in and help you all navigate through that a little bit.
No, sounds good. Yeah.
So I'm actually in favor of it. I think it does a lot of things to put guardrails on NIL finally. And there was a lot of talk going in, are schools going to opt in? Are they going to opt out? How are they going to accept this? For the most part, all I've seen are schools and conferences all lined up and opting into this. I've not seen a single school yet say no. So basically what it does, every school now has a $20 million limit that they can directly pay their student athletes. That's different from NIL. So if a booster or a collective or something decides to enter into an NIL agreement with a student athlete, it will now go through a clearinghouse as long as it's over $600. And the example I gave was Canada.
Mm-hmm.
The clearinghouse would determine, is that a fair market deal for her? And what they would do, they would compare it to other softball players of her stature.
Yeah.
There's not a softball player in America in college that's making $1 million.
Right.
Hell,
So
she's making more money than the program probably has.
So immediately the clearinghouse would throw that one out. But it also sets up an arbitration process where if a deal gets denied, you can go through an arbiter. And what the arbiter...
I don't quite understand. I mean, like if Nike comes in and wants to offer senior Caitlin Clark a big shoe deal,
it would still go through a clearinghouse. And they would look at it and say, okay, is a women's college basketball player getting a $5 million deal and a shoe deal? They're going to say, no, that's not what the market is right now. So that would not be a fair market value deal.
Yeah, but I think if you look into Caitlin Clark, she just had all the endorsement deals. She didn't take any money from NIL.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Is this including?
That's what
the
NIL
endorsement?
is. That's what
Right.
NIL is.
Okay, I meant NIL cash like through the swarm.
Because if somebody wants to come in, so the clearinghouse still has control over the endorsements someone gets.
Yes. Yes.
Oh, okay.
That's actually what an NIL deal is. It's an endorsement for you to use your name, image, and likeness to advertise a brand.
Mm-hmm.
Well, right, but I was just thinking more like somebody like Nike, like he said, how they just come in and do whatever.
Yeah,
And
it's
they
still
can afford to do it, so that's why if they wanted strictly to do Caitlin Clark's shoe, but the clearinghouse would say you can't do that because nobody else is getting that same value.
right. You could probably get the shoe deal, but not the money would be compared to what other student athletes like that are currently making.
There we go.
So
Okay, so Kelvin says deals given from a public traded company like Nike or State Farm do not have to go through the clearinghouse per yesterday's paperwork. He probably read through everything more than I did.
So they changed it.
So that would be different than it was explained to me.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, if Bob's towing company wants to sponsor, someone, and they want
Right.
to do it for $1,000, that would go through the clearinghouse.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. Or a collective or for certain, But I think it does a couple things. You're not going to see a Carson Beck go out and get a $10 million deal from a collective anymore. They're going to say, no, that's not what other top line quarterbacks are making. Sorry,
Yeah.
that's way more.
Yeah, so I'm pretty sure
So
the
basically,
Michigan
it's like
quarterback Underwood would not gotten his $10 million.
No.
it's like a salary cap that we all begged for, like us small schools like Iowa begged for, right?
In essence, yes.
In a way, anyway, in a
Yep.
roundabout way, as long as nobody else is. You know how Ohio State had that $20 million roster, they
Okay.
can still do that if the numbers were the same across of everybody else.
But that's a stickler though, because it's also set up a controlling agency called the College Sports Commission. And the commission, I don't know how much authority they have, but if they set up the commission properly and they give them subpoena power, they can come into Ohio State and say, "Let me see the records for all of your NIL deals." And if you're not in compliance, there's your compliance regulatory arm, is the College Sports Commission.
Okay.
I feel like it's a great thing because you're not only you're setting up an arbitration process for an athlete if they get a deal denied. I also think, and I haven't seen anybody talk about it, I think it's going to set up legal protections for boosters and collectives where if a player is not living up to their NIL agreement, they can go back and collect that money back from them.
Yeah,
Like
or
opting
maybe
out of bowl games or opting
Right.
out of the last 3 games of the year.
Or maybe just take back what they didn't earn, right? Like if they're
Right.
not doing it, because obviously if the kids already spent the money, they can't come back and say no.
And maybe Kelvin will know a little bit about that. I think it's going to set up some protections that way as well.
So
Because, and I'll use Nico for an example. The story around Nico was that when it came to his NIL responsibilities, he really didn't want to show up, and when he did, he was there for a limited amount of time, just barely enough to satisfy whoever.
yeah, he had
and that-
attitude issues.
And it was a really bad attitude towards him doing what he was supposed to do.
Yeah.
And I think and I hope it gives the collectives and boosters legal ground to recollect. Like
Yeah.
Arkansas, they gave Nico's little brother $500,000. He didn't even sign with them afterwards.
No, he went to UCLA too.
Well,
How can you do that?
Quinn Ewers went to Ohio State as a freshman, collected $2 million, then went to Texas. Like
Yeah,
right after.
same kind of deal.
We had that
I didn't
offensive lineman that went from Bama to Iowa back to Bama.
Yeah. But I overall think it's a good thing. I think it reins it back in. Yes,
Well, I think it's a start. I think it's a start. I want to read you a quote that I saw on X today. It's by Dan Wolken. I don't know who he is.
Oh.
The House settlement will fix NIL if the schools allow themselves to be governed. In the entire history of the NCAA, enforcement suggests that's a long shot.
Well, let me ask, where is this $20 million coming from? It's not coming from the school. Is it come from the athletic department? Or is it coming from NIL type?
No, it comes from the school because these schools have made money for decades and centuries based on these student athletes. It comes from the schools.
Mm-hmm.
And
so tuition's going to go up. Thank God my son's already graduated.
I don't know if tuition's going to go up because
I was just kidding. Yeah.
like I said, it's all these schools have made money for decades on student athletes.
Yeah.
So they're getting what they deserve now. And if you have a football program that's got $100 million flowing through its budget, why can't you give part of that to the actual players?
Yeah.
So you have $20 million per school to play with. So it's up to
I don't think outsiders fully appreciate how expensive it is to run a football program or an athletic department. People hear that these schools are making millions and millions of dollars, but when you're having to travel 85 scholarship guys across the country and hotels and food and all of these things, the expenses, the medical care, all of the things these schools pay for, it ain't cheap.
Well, but they're also going to get these TV contracts. Hank's right there. I saw he did some with TV contracts. They have to. I mean, that's coming straight. There's a reason why the Big Ten got $1 billion TV deal. I mean, that's got to go to Big Ten teams.
Kelvin, I think I actually pointed this out earlier. NIL has nothing to do with the $20 million revenue sharing plan.
I think I was questioning it, and that's why Kelvin said that. I think I had it out there as a question. But you did say that earlier, Andy.
Hey, just as a public knowledge, Kelvin pointed out that Varda is now been hired to run the clearinghouse.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, is he running it or is he a part of it?
He's part of it.
Okay.
All right. So never mind.
But there is a roster limit now. I think football goes from 85 to 105. But along with that, a school like Alabama that generally has 30 or 40 kids on a redshirt basis, they can't keep that anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
But let me tell you this, Vandy, real quick. I think there's a slight differential there. They've had 85 people on scholarships.
Yeah.
And the new roster limits were cut from like wherever the school wanted to carry, 140, 150, 130, down to 105. But they were also told that they wanted to, they could actually take that 85 scholarship limit and give everybody on the roster up to 105 a scholarship.
Well, that's But
I just wanted to verify that. It made it sound like that we had 85, but now we were up to 105. In fact, Iowa had 136 players on their roster when the season ended.
Because those schools you're talking about, Dean, are ones that rely on walk-ons, right? They get those diamond in a roughs. The old Nebraska teams, they would have 40 walk-ons on their teams, right? Iowa's the same way under Ferentz.
So the roster limits are set in stone with this House agreement. Football's 105, basketball 15, baseball 34. That's set in limit. It's going to be up to the conferences how much they allow scholarships to be paid for. If they want the whole 105 paid or if they want the whole 34 paid. that's going to be up to the conferences how many scholarships they have.
Yeah.
But you can,
and I
the
understand
roster
that,
limits. Yeah, the roster limits are set.
I understand they're set, but this ruling allows the grandfather back in some of the kids that were asked to leave. Like I pointed out, when Iowa started downsizing their roster from 136, they're down to 106. They could theoretically go back out and grab any of those kids that wanted to come back, and they can stay until the end of their eligibility runs out. And when that's gone, that's when the 105 will actually take effect.
Didn't I hear too that they were only going to have one portal period? Did anybody else?
That hasn't been settled yet. That'll have to come from university presidents.
Okay.
But over 90% of the athletic directors across the country support one portal period.
Okay.
Okay. What's the swarm going to do? I will tell you what they're going to do.
They're still going to pay NIL deal.
They're still going to pay NIL deal. Brad Hendricks came out with a statement yesterday. I don't remember where I read it. It might have been on X. That's where I usually find his statements. Said that they will continue to do what they've been doing in their collective.
Yep. So what I'm interested to find out, okay, and this is just my school specifically. For years, we've heard that Vanderbilt had an unfair advantage in scholarships because they could offer 35 full scholarships for their baseball program. That was never true, but they have a system where kids can get into school at a reduced cost on tuition based on their financial need with their family. So what people were talking about were Vanderbilt's $60,000. If this family meets a certain income guideline, they could get in for $20,000. State schools, 9 times out of 10, are going to run between $7,000 and $15,000.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's still an advantage for the state school, but it's the idea that Vanderbilt was offering reduced tuition that they could get into Vandy easier, that Vanderbilt had an unfair advantage. So, with the baseball...
Did that only extend to student athletes, or did that extend to everyone?
Student athletes.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
but
what
recent...
about the academic standards? That's what hurts Vandy, in my opinion, the most.
Right, and I don't disagree with that. But going back where I'm at, if baseball scholarships or baseball rosters are set at 34, and let's say the SEC sets scholarship limit at 34. Well, a lot of these schools can't afford 34 full baseball scholarships, where a school like Vanderbilt can and can fund those things.
Right.
So are people going to say it's an unfair advantage for private schools now again to have a scholarship advantage? I'm curious about that.
Boy, Northwestern wishes they had the same advantage as Vandy has. You keep talking about Vandy like that.
I'm telling you.
Northwestern has the same academic stuff, but they can't.
Yeah.
I don't know if they have the same money, though. It's expensive to go there. But what do they do with their money? I don't know.
But I will say this about that. They've got alumni spread all over the United States, just like some of the other schools do that are filthy rich.
Right.
You know? And I would expect money to pour into Northwestern from these guys, but maybe the alumni aren't caring enough. I don't know.
Maybe they're greedy. Greedy rich. I do have a question though, real quick, Vandy, because Iowa's big disadvantage has been the scholar. They can only give a half a scholarship here. Maybe this guy can get a scholarship. Across Iowa's roster is full of half scholarships, quarter
scholarships.
I mean, so does this mean?
Well, the rule has always been.
The
rule has always been. Everybody on the team had to have a quarter of a scholarship.
Yeah.
But nobody could have more than a full scholarship. And it was up to the school
How to get more than a full scholarship.
But
money.
But you only had 11.7 to play with.
Okay. Okay. Are we talking baseball here?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So in baseball, you had to figure out how to divide up 11.7 scholarships among 40 players, where everybody got at least a quarter, and you got to figure that out. Yeah. And it's tough. But now, if you have 34 full scholarships, you can rest assured Iowa will pay for them.
Right.
They'll go with 34 full scholarships. But
that's what,
when you have only got 11.7 to play with, let's say he'll tell a kid, go get an academic scholarship, where he's getting in on academics, and then he's considered a walk-on a baseball team. He's not getting a scholarship, but he's still playing baseball. He's on an academic scholarship, though. It doesn't cost the baseball program anything.
Correct.
I think this is, a big part of this was Title IX. Because you have to have, so many scholarships for women's sports with how many you're offering in the men. And that meant, the non-revenue generating sports or whatever had to, could only offer fractions basically to meet that.
It's the same with wrestling, by the way. They're not, these guys aren't getting full scholarships either.
And
Iowa wrestlers don't.
No.
And that opens the door for the wrestling program to start giving full scholarships instead of partial scholarships. To me, it's a positive thing.
That could be the reason why we've seen a positive movement in recruiting in wrestling from the high school ranks.
And that's what Heller, Iowa's baseball manager, that's what Heller's been begging for. Like he always talks about the disadvantage of being in a cold weather school. Then you don't have scholarship for your kids. So like he's been playing with he's just been putting stuff together and then having good teams every once in a while. But like he's just been begging for scholarships for his players so he can get some kids to come to Iowa.
See, I bet if you look through his roster, I bet you'd find some players that aren't getting any baseball money, but they're getting full ride academic scholarships.
You're probably right.
I'm sure of it.
Yeah.
I'm sure of it. Let's back up real quick before we move on. Calvin wants to point out that Northwestern has one of the biggest endowments in the history of mankind. So I just put that out there.
Let Paul finish his thought. He's been trying.
I know. I'm sorry. I just wanted to go back and get that real quick, and I apologize, Paul.
That's fine. So I was going to say, with the funny thing about these partial scholarships is they're going to the people that need the full scholarship the most versus, your football players or your basketball players. I mean, they're the ones that are going to get the big NIL deals. They're the ones that are going to get the possibility of the big payday playing professionally. Very, very few of the, especially like the really good baseball players, they're in the minors or right, you know what I mean, right in the pros. Yeah. Not that there's not a lot of good college baseball players, but I would imagine your top 1%, your elite of the elite, they don't have to wait like the football players or basketball players do.
Right. Baseball is flooded with kids, right? You really have to be good. There's so, I mean, you got single A, double A, triple A, all the way up to the majors. They're flooded with kids trying to make it.
How does all this new stuff work with baseball now that they can probably offer scholarships? Does Iowa be able to get a higher quality baseball players than what they've got right now?
Probably.
Yeah, I would say yes.
I mean, if you're offering a full scholarship to come play baseball, obviously it's going to be better than if you can only offer a quarter scholarship. It goes for every school.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I mean, that to me, that's kind of common sense.
But a lot of times what you'll see happen, and I keep going back to Vanderbilt because I know this information firsthand. There was a player about 10 or 12 years ago. If I told you his name, you'd know it immediately. He's currently in the major leagues playing for a team in Illinois. I ain't going to give
Cubs or
any.
White Sox?
I'm not going to give any more specifics than that. But
Okay.
he took out student loans to go to Vanderbilt. He bet on himself. He took out student loans to go to Vanderbilt, paid his own way to go play for Tim Corbin, ended up becoming a number 1 draft pick. There's 2 players currently on the Texas Rangers who paid full scholarship to go to Vanderbilt, paid their own way, and took no baseball money. And they did that so Tim Corbin could use that money, use their portion of baseball money to go somewhere else. You'll see that at a lot of schools, and it goes untalked about.
Right.
Yeah.
Iowa will not raise any scholarship numbers in any men's sports because of Title IX.
I mean, that's why Iowa State.
I don't buy that.
I mean, it might not be, but that's why Iowa State got rid of baseball. They just couldn't do the baseball with Title IX. That was one of their sports they got rid of because it wasn't a moneymaker anyway.
Mm-hmm.
If Iowa opts into the House settlement, they will have a roster limit of 105. They will have a baseball roster of 34, and
15 and 15 in basketball.
15 and 15 in basketball. They'd be stupid not to opt in and agree to those rosters and go by what the Big Ten decides what their scholarship limit is going to be.
You know, that would be dumb for them not to opt in. How many recruits would you lose if you don't opt in?
A lot.
I would also think that with the baseball specifically here, if you've got a prospect, a high school prospect, and let's say he's the number 1 prospect in the state of Iowa, and major league clubs are looking at him and they say, he might be a 10th round pick. But Coach Heller says, I can give you half a scholarship. I can either go get paid whatever and play baseball, or take out student loans to pay half a tuition. So I would think this would help maybe make keep some of the better players actually in college baseball.
I agree.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
This could help keep kids from leaving early. Iowa's actually had a couple kids leave early, and Jake Adams is the last one I really remember because he hit 25 home runs or something in the regular season. First baseman, and he could have came back, and the shortstop, and his name escapes me for whatever reason. On that same team, that was a very good team, and they got beat. I want to say they got beat like in the regionals, like they made it. That was one of the years Heller took them to regionals, and then they both leave, right? And then they end up. Jake was drafting like 6th round, somewhere in there, 5th round, but he stayed in the minors. He never moved up, so he's still riding the bus. He's still doing the Bull Durham thing.
Right.
Was that worth it when you could have came back to Iowa and had a shot at something? Because that could have been a really good team the following year if they just came back. So
sometimes they just get bad advice, Jason.
No, I know.
From their agents and parents and friends, and they think
Again,
anyway, they get bad advice and leave too early.
Maybe he's making $50,000 a year playing baseball versus taking out a $20,000 loan to play baseball.
I don't know what it was, but I don't know how he might have been on full ride. He might have been one of them that Heller was able to give a full ride, if he ever was. The way he talks, that he's never really been able to give a full ride. So I don't know what he was making, but that kind of stuff at Iowa, when they would lose out on a couple kids, it really hurt them. Like Vandy could probably just replace them, or they already have roster. Where at Iowa, you're taking away the two best players on the team, and that hurts.
Yeah.
So
Calvin wants to point. Okay, go ahead. All right, I thought you were done.
I was just going to say, maybe like what Chris was saying, maybe this will help, or maybe Paul was saying it, keep kids on the baseball team on a full ride instead of leaving early.
Right.
To go play
or them just going straight to the pros versus maybe they would have gone to college, but
Okay. I just wanted to point out that Kelvin does. I want to give credit to Kelvin, but I did think about this a little bit earlier. Roster limit is different to full ride scholarships. So, basically, just because they can have 15 on basketball on the roster doesn't mean 15 kids are going to get scholarships.
Well, no, right. That's not a thing. It's
So
just go ahead, but that's the same way it is now.
I can tell you this. Jamie Pollard at Iowa State has said they intend to pay the full $20.5 million to athletes next season as part of the revenue sharing program to remain competitive. I would expect Iowa to do the same damn thing.
Iowa's already said it. Beth Getz already said it.
Yeah.
They're committed to pay the whole thing out.
And
so, okay, guys, I'm going to give you one last time to just list our thoughts on this and stuff so that we can move on to the basketball draft.
Oh, I'm good. I'm ready for basketball. My questions have been answered. I was just curious, like, is that money comes from the donors? The big boosters. Like, where's this 20.5 coming from?
Comes out of the athletic budget.
Okay, that's what
the TV revenue and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. I think this is going to be a good thing in the long run, as long as the schools are allowing themselves to be governed and follow what's being told and not, But the problem I see is different legislation. I believe Tennessee is one of the states that are just pretty much are allowing a free for all. Right? Am I correct, Vandy?
That's not actually correct.
Okay.
Within the past 3 weeks, I can tell you the state of Tennessee did pass a law requiring all schools in the state, Vanderbilt, Tennessee, Middle Tennessee State, and Memphis, to violate the terms of the House settlement, no matter what it is.
I love it.
And that was the state law, that they had to violate the agreement. I can tell you, Vanderbilt's athletic director yesterday and Tennessee's athletic director and MTSU's athletic director and Memphis athletic director all came out and said they are looking forward to abiding by the House regulations.
Okay. Sounds good.
So it's funny that, states can think they can just thumb their nose at a court order and get away with it.
Yeah. All righty. Well, guys, if you're ready to get in basketball, I don't know, Vandy, do you want to hang around for it or do you want to move on?
Depends. How are you going to do this?
Well, okay, one of us is not prepared to do the draft, so he's only going to give us his starting five. Paul and I are prepared to do a draft, and I was just going to go, like one person starts first, and then we go one round, and then the next person starts. Another person starts first and go around.
And just limited to Iowa players throughout history, right?
No, just Fran era, players only. This is in honor of Fran, this last season. And we included the players that played for him last year, but anybody on this year's team can't be included. Yeah. I don't know how. I've never done this before. I just want to do it. I actually picked my top 4 teams, top 5 in each category, just to be on the safe side, so I could either draft quickly or just tell you who I got on each team.
I would just go by position, but how?
Okay. Yeah, that's what I wanted to do. Like, I want to start with the point guard and everybody go around and pick their point guard. And if somebody's already picked it, you can't pick it.
Oh, well, right. I'll go ahead.
Like, for example, I'll take first pick. I'm picking J-Bo as my point guard.
You can have him.
Okay, that's fine. Vandy, do you want to pick one or do you want to pass?
Give me Luka.
Now, he's got to be a point guard, though. We're just
we
doing
have to
point
do it
guard
by.
then. Yep,
Yeah.
we're doing it by position.
If you have to do it by position, okay, give me a hit. Give me a minute.
We'll skip Vandy real quick since this
Yeah, go ahead. Paul, go ahead.
This isn't
Give me
very
your.
organized.
Well, I'm going to assume that Luca Garza is going to be the starting center for our team. And if you're going to have Luca, then you've got to have Connor McCaffrey on the floor. Because
Okay, so you got Paul has Connor.
I'm ready.
Okay, go ahead.
Give me Roy Devin Marble.
that's a good pick.
That's a very good pick.
Okay. What I have, because I just picked my best team, what I would do, so J-Bo is my favorite player under Fran. So I did have him as my starting point guard. But since we can't pick the same one, I'll go to Mike Gazelle. I did have Jordan and Devin Marble as my top two, right? I would have those two as the point guards. But Mike Giselle was in there as well. So yeah, those were actually my 3 point guards that I would have. As far as like my starters, if I was picking my starters, it'd be J-Bo the starter with Marble as his backup, and go from there as the game goes on.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, Paul, pick the number 2 spot. And some of these could be off. These next few positions because of the way Iowa played.
All right,
You
so
don't have to have a true number 2 in that spot.
I'm going to put up like a shooting guard here, basically, is what you're saying?
Yeah.
I'll actually throw Joe Wieskamp in there.
Okay. Okay, Vandy.
I'm going to go with the walking bucket, one of the best pure shooters to come to Iowa City in decades, Peter Jacques.
Peter Jacques is a good pick there.
Man, you just took my pick. That was going to be my pick. All right. Jason, who did you say you wanted for your number 2?
I don't know. My list is all being all stupid.
Okay. While you're doing that, I got to find myself a new number 2. Because, well, actually, guys, do you think it's picking somebody if somebody picked him as a point guard and I pick him as a shooting guard?
You could do that.
Could I do that?
Sure, why not?
Okay, because I would pick Devin Marble as my shooting guard.
Iowa, Fran is a positionless coach. So, yeah, he would have Marble on the floor as the 1 or the 2, sometimes even the 3.
You know what? I'm switching that up, guys. I'm switching that up.
If you say
because these teams have got to be against each other, so I'm going to go with Peyton Sanford on this one.
Okay, good. I don't need a Sanford on my team. But am I going now?
Yeah.
I have Peter Jacques and Joe Wieskamp for my shooting guards. The starter would be Peter Jacques, and my backup would be Joe.
Can I change my pick here? Is it too late?
It's not
because
very
I think I might move Wieskamp to the 3, and I'd like to put Matt Gatens in.
Oh!
Ooh.
At number 2?
As my shooting guard.
One of the few guys under Fran that would play defense. I forgot that.
Okay, so going with number 3, since Paul's already picked his 3, I'm going to go with Jared Utah.
Yeah, that's a good one too.
My number 3?
Yep.
I'm going to go with the consensus All-American as a sophomore and a finalist for the Neesmith, Wooden, Lute Olson, and Lefty Drizel Awards. I'm taking Keegan Murray at the 3.
That's weird. That's weird because I had him at my 4, so I won't get to pick him.
Yeah. I actually have the Murray brothers with Keegan starting and Chris his backup at the 3. So yeah,
Okay.
yeah, I had both of them.
Okay.
Although I did debate though. Well, I'm going to talk about who my 4 is because I did debate on. Well, I'll wait till we get to the 4s, and then I'll tell you what I was debating.
Okay. Alrighty. Who's
Oh,
who's next for the 4?
I need to
Everybody's
give you a
picked a 3.
I need to give you a second team 3, right?
Go
Well,
ahead.
we
You're
haven't
very
picked a second.
unorganized. So
I'm not really
No.
picking a second team right
Okay.
now.
Gotcha.
Okay. All right. I mean, we can do that later if you want to, but I think our pickings will run thin. So, who am I up for 4th?
Sure. If you
Sure.
want to start her off.
Okay. I'm taking Aaron White.
Good pick.
And my number 4,
Yep.
I'm gonna go to Utah.
Ah,
I already picked him, so you got to pick somebody else.
I'll
You
go.
picked him at the 3. I'm taking him at the 4.
There you go.
Okay. All righty.
I'll go next in the circle where I had. See, this is where I was debating. Is like if we have both Murray brothers on the floor, on the bench, I would like to have Jared Uthoff and Aaron White. Like those two. So like you would like those 4 are my 3s and 4s. Put it basically, however you want to put them on the floor, but those 4 players would be my 3s and 4s.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Well, at my 4, I'm starting Tyler Cook.
Oh.
Okay. I guess that means I get the first pick for number 5, and I'm taking Luka Garza.
Yeah, that's a given there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
What?
I mean,
Was he questioning me picking it?
No, something Kelvin said made me laugh.
Oh, Jason, take Garza at 4 and screw the other guys.
so for me, at the center position, I need a guy that's going to rebound. I'm going to go get the only guy since Reggie Evans to average 10 rebounds a game.
I can't wait.
I got Adam Woodbury.
Right.
The clumsy 7-footer. Yeah.
Yeah. He wasn't even my top 4 centers.
But
he's 10 rebounds a game. If you can't rebound, you're not getting on my court. I need you to go get that ball.
And you don't win. Ask Fran. We don't win. If you don't rebound or play defense, you don't win.
Oops, I moved Adam Woodbury in the wrong column. There we go. All righty. Paul.
Yeah. So I'm going to go a little bit smaller but athletic. And I'm actually going to start Melson Basabi at the 5. It's Fran. So,
Right. I mean, he played the 4 and the 5.
Yeah.
And he was the first player to come from Siena, right? I believe he came with Fran. Like he was
He
going
did.
to
He came.
Siena.
He came. He was the first one, yeah.
Yeah. Obviously Luka, but I had Luka obviously at number 1 for me, but I had Tyler Cook as a 5. And then now that you bring him up, he didn't play 5. He played the 3 a lot.
Did he? I thought he was a 5. Doesn't he play the 5 in the NBA?
He plays the 3 in the NBA. I think he played the 4 for Fran most of the time. But like I said, Fran plays a different brand as far as positions. So
just wait till you hear my 2 bench players.
Okay.
But Melson's in there. But Cook, I don't think. Yeah, Cook it wasn't the 5, but based on like Owen Freeman would be up there.
Yeah.
but his attitude, like he just rubbed the team the wrong way. I suppose now that I just completely forgot about Tyler Cook not being a 5. So, but my 5s would be obviously.
How about Nunji? Would you go with Nunji?
No, Jack's good, but he transferred out.
Yeah.
But I would take Luka and then probably Woodbury, because that would be a hell of a. You'd put Woodbury out there and he would rebound the hell out of it. He'd play defense. Luka didn't do any of that. Luka just wanted to score, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Luka scored and he was very good at it, but there'd be parts in the game where you'd want somebody like Woodbury who would go get that guy or go get that ball, right? He looked clumsy around the basket, but at least he played defense. You had to get the ball over him at the rim, and he got the rebound. It's kind of what Chris said. I agree with him about Woodbury. Remember him as a rebounder and defender. It's just he was so clumsy. He just didn't like the ball in his hands very often.
Yeah. Okay.
See,
All right.
my
My first two people.
teams, my team actually plays defense.
Yeah. I think my team can score, but everybody I have was known to have off nights. Nights of shooting. Can you imagine if all my guys went cold on the same night?
2 bench players. I like that idea.
Yeah, 2 bench players. I'm going to go with Nicholas Bear and Anthony Clemens. I just like Nicholas Bear was a walk-on who eventually got a scholarship, but I love the energy when he came off the bench. That boy was flying around, diving for balls. He didn't care. He sacrificed his body. That's why I like him.
Absolutely.
I would stipulate that since they're bench players, more than one people can pick them.
Okay. Because you must want the same one I do.
Maybe,
All
maybe
right.
not.
Okay. I guess you pick after me, so go ahead. Oh, no, wait. Actually, Paul goes after me, because we skipped you the one time.
Oh, well. I would have, what I had written down was Nick Bear. I mean, yeah, he was 6th man of the year in the Big Ten. I mean, how do you not have him as a bench guy? And then funny enough that Kelvin just said Eric May, because I actually have him on my paper here at the bottom with the B. I like the athleticism. I want a guy that can jump out of the gym. You have Tyler Cook, you have Eric May. Wieskamp can, get up there. So my team is long, athletic, plays defense, gets after you. We can press.
Okay.
Yeah. And Vandy's team can rebound.
That's right.
I got some defense in there too. Just wait and see.
All righty. You're a bench player. You're 2 bench players.
My bench player, I'm going to go with the only player in Iowa history with 750 points, 500 rebounds, 100 assists, 100 steals, 100 block shots, and 100 3-pointers made. I got Nicholas Bear as 1, and my second would be one of only 3 players in Iowa history to win the Big Ten 6th Man of the Year award. Gabe Owasini.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, honestly, I had him on my 4th team.
and if you think about it, he's 5th all time in Iowa history in block shots with 141 block shots. I'm playing some defense with some guys.
That's right.
Well, I want to point out some names that we just kind of did not cover tonight. Isaiah Moss, Josh Dix, Brock Hardy, Matt Gatens. Somebody took Matt Gatens, didn't they?
Mm-hmm.
Paul
took Matt Gatens. Okay. Peyton Sanford. No, I took him. Jared Cole. You guys remember him?
Yeah.
Jared Cole.
Jared Cole, yeah. I still think Jared Cole would have been a great NFL tight end.
He probably would have been.
Mm-hmm.
C.J. Frederick, who if I'm not mistaken, ain't he the one that left Iowa and went to Kentucky and never got off the bench?
Correct.
He had an injury-plagued career both at Iowa
he
and
stayed
Kentucky.
hurt. Yep.
And then he transferred to Cincinnati. But he's one that had bad advice. I mean, I'm not going to tell the story again, but I got into it with his uncle because they didn't want to tell the world that they were transferring. I found out they were transferring way before they announced it, so I told everybody in my group.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and he listened to his uncle. His uncle's a huge Kentucky fan. His uncle kept saying, "You got to get out of Iowa. You got to get to Kentucky." That worked out great.
Yeah.
Yeah, it worked out great. He rode the pine.
Yeah. At least he wore the jersey. He got to walk out of the tunnel.
You're not wrong.
Yeah. He went to 5 schools. What? Dang, who else? Kentucky, Iowa, Cincinnati. Who else?
Dang,
that guy was. How much eligibility does he have?
I only know of 3 schools that he went to. I thought he ended at Cincinnati. He went Iowa for 2, Kentucky for 1, and then he finished at Cincinnati. Is what I thought.
Mm-hmm. Which is crazy. He's Uncle Len. I think he knows a few things here. He says that the uncle loved Fran. Okay. So,
not in my page. He didn't.
He only went to 3 schools: 2 at Iowa, 1 at Kentucky, 2 at Cincinnati.
He blamed Fran. Yeah. He blamed
Who took Aaron White?
What?
Which one of us took Aaron White?
I did.
I did.
Well, I did as well.
Just different positions. Okay.
Hank, his uncle didn't like Fran because they blamed Fran for all his injuries. Because Fran didn't think he was injured. He just thought he was hurt. One of those type of moments where the kid's like, "Oh, I can't do anything." And you're like, "You're not even injured. You're just in pain. That's not an injury." So so I don't know about his uncle loved Fran. At least not. He may be in the beginning.
Yeah. Well, guys, I mean, I appreciate you guys' participation in this draft. It went a little unorganized, but hey, it worked.
It was
Next
fun.
week, we are drafting Kirk era football players by positions. And so start thinking now, guys, of what you wanted, who you want in your Kirk draft. And there's more players to choose from because we got 27 years worth of players. And okay, what I'm going to say now, nobody on the current squad is eligible. The only people who would be eligible if they jumped into the transfer portal after last season and are at another school this year, you could go with them because they would be gone out of Iowa.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead, Randy.
Do you have to pick them at the position they played at Iowa or the position they played in the NFL?
Iowa.
That was clever. I do like that. That was good.
I'm sure everybody knows who I'm referring to on that one.
There's actually a couple of them.
There's a few.
Well, you jokes, I don't know because everybody I know is playing their normal position.
Well, the last one. Go ahead, Chris.
One of the most recent ones was an all Big Ten left tackle, and he did not play left tackle in the NFL.
Robert
There's
Gallery.
also one who was.
He said recent.
Good.
That was one of the first ones out of Kirk's era.
Brandon Sheriff plays left guard.
Oh, yeah. And he's the highest paid, isn't he?
Not
He
anymore.
was.
Not
He
anymore.
was. I don't know if he still is, but
I think
was.
he retired.
Tristan Wirfs played right tackle at Iowa. Now he's a left tackle.
Yeah.
Maybe he's the one that was the highest paid tackle.
Yes, he is. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Also, the highest paid tight end is George Kittle. And do you know in the NFL, out of the top, there's 3 of the top 8 or top 6 NFL tight ends belong to Iowa.
Yeah. Not only that, there's Parker Hesse, who played defensive line at Iowa, was very good actually. Played defensive end, and had an interception pick 6 against Nebraska. Now plays tight end.
Yeah.
Is he still in the NFL? Is he still playing?
He was last year. I'm assuming
He was
so.
with the Falcons or something.
Yeah, he was with the Falcons.
Okay.
Whether or not he's still going now, but he played a few years anyway at tight end.
Yeah.
I know he was.
And Tyrone Tracy, if you decide to pick him, is a running back right now, but was a wide receiver at Iowa.
Well, but Iowa wanted him to play running back. We went over this 1,000 times. That's why he transferred to Purdue to play wide receiver. And then finally, his senior year, Purdue is like, dude, if you want to do anything, you got to play running back. And he played running back, and he balled out at running back for Purdue.
Good call, Kelly. Micah Hyde, absolutely.
Micah Hyde. This is gonna be hard. This one's gonna be really hard. So, I would just come up with enough players so that if somebody steals your player, you get it. You got one you can use.
27 years worth. I think we can get it done.
When are we gonna do my depth chart show?
The week after next. I want to give you some time to work on it.
So I got 2 weeks.
Yeah, I got 2 weeks. I figured that'd be the first part of July, right? Oh, no. Guys, do I even want to do a show next Sunday? It's Father's Day.
Oh, yeah. Let's do it 2 weeks.
2 weeks, okay. So we'll skip the Father's Day, 22nd, 29th. 22nd's the draft. 29th is the depth chart. Perfect timing because we'll be going into July where the college football talk heaps up.
Okay. You can tell Chris isn't used to this unorganized podcast.
Okay.
I mean,
alrighty.
They're fun to do.
I know. I want to do this. This is kind of like a crazy off season with not a lot of news, and so in the summer months, I like to try to keep it a little fun, keep people's interest going a little bit, and
right.
Yeah. So we'll get down to it because it's not that far away, guys.
That's right.
All right. Well, I'm going to jump back off here. That was fun to do. I'll catch you guys next show.
Yeah,
sounds great.
See you, Chris.
Take care,
Chris.
Yep.
Bye, everybody. Go Hawks.
Okay. All right, we're going to get out of here. We're going to end this stream. Thank you guys for your participation. Again, please smash the sub button, the like button, comment, and share. This helps the algorithm. It helps YouTube get it to more people, and it just helps. Okay, help a poor old guy out here.
All right, bye everybody.
Bye everybody.
I will never be free now, my baby. No, no.